Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight we're doing our ESPN mock draft series. Usually we do them on Tuesday nights. We're doing it on Monday night. Tonight I'm out of office tomorrow, but we're hanging out. We're doing the 12-team ESPN Full PPR mock draft. I'm drafting in pick number 7. Looks like we got a few of the usual suspects in the chat with us. It looks like I think Harris is pick 5. We got TB, Tony, pick number 1. And we got RZ here picking number 6. So that looks like Ruben's team number 6 there. And then I did see Aiden sneak in at pick number 10. So this draft is about to start here. I'm going to open up the screen share and let's just have some fun with it. I did put Amon-Ra St. Brown as the thumbnail guy. I'm 0 for 6, I think, on getting the thumbnail guy that I put for the video. So we'll see what we can do. It looks like Tony grabbed Christian McCaffrey to start the draft, and we're underway. So I think we've kind of, been doing these for a while now. I'm going to try and keep making different picks and trying to make different style builds. Last week, I didn't really have a good build. I went 0 running back, and I think that's probably not I think we're going to rule it out for redraft leagues. I think that's more of a best ball only kind of strategy for 2024. I want a top end running back this year. Obviously, you have the top 3, CMC, Brees, and Bijan. If you can get one of those 3 guys, I think you should do it because you're going to like a lot of the receivers as the draft keeps going on. So we'll see what comes to me at pick number 7 here. I don't know if I'm going to want to take a running back there. I think that might be too high for Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, if Brees or Bijan are there, that's probably going to be what I go with. But the more we do these drafts, I really like round 2 to pull a running back. So that means starting a receiver, round 1, round 2, you should be able to get a decent running back your way. But we're on deck here. We'll see what Ruben has to say at pick number 6. And that's kind of the consensus there. You got these are the consensus top 6 picks: McCaffrey, Lamb, Chase, Hill, Brees, and Bijan. Jumble them up in any order. That's probably the top 6 picks of your redraft league. I really like being in the top 6. I think once you miss out on those top 3 backs and those top 2 receivers, I guess the top 3 receivers, it feels a little light. But I have no issues taking Amon-Ra St. Brown here as my wide receiver 1 last year. I think he was wide receiver 3 on the season. And if I filter by my full PPR ranks, I got him at wide receiver 5. I do have Garrett Wilson ranked slightly ahead. So I do like Wilson. I just, he's more of a late first round pick for me because there is some risk there with Aaron Rodgers in that offense. Whereas I don't really see any risk with Amon-Ra or picking any of the Detroit Lions. So wheels up on Amon-Ra St. Brown. We see Justin Jefferson go, pick number 8, A.J. Brown, number 9. Aiden grabs the Puka Nacua, and then Saquon Barkley here at pick 11. And we're about to enter that round 2 where a lot of running backs, a lot of, top 10-ish running backs are going to come off the board. So I'm hoping and praying something falls to me at pick 18. If not, we'll kind of reevaluate here. But I've been saying the last few weeks, I want a shot at a top 5 player at each position. We locked in Amon-Ra, top 5 receiver upside secured. I need to find a running back that can fit that mold because we're gonna be fine finding quarterbacks and tight ends. Those are the easiest spots to find a top 5 option because they go so much later in the draft. But it's really all about those first 3 picks, and I think I'm becoming very convinced that you need at least one running back in those first 3 rounds. So we'll see what comes back to me. We have a Travis Kelce sighting here from Aiden at pick 15. Jahmyr Gibbs and Garrett Wilson lead it off round 2. And Donnie's going with a double running back here, 12 and 13. And yeah, I think this is kind of the right price for Justin Jefferson. I think right at 7 or 8. If I wanted to take him at 7, I think that's fine. But he's starting to settle into a nice, mid ADP there. So I think that's fair value for JJ. Henry and Marvin Harrison Jr. off the board next for me. I'm looking at Kieran Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne. I think I like him a lot as a running back 1 option. If I look at my projections for running back real quick, I do have Etienne as an RB5. So we're going to try it. I think the Jags offense, they ran hot on Etienne touchdowns last year. He's a volume play, which I like a lot. I don't really care about the running back 2s, the backup running backs in Jacksonville. And Etienne was RB3 last year. So even if he comes down a little bit, I think I'm still happy. But the dude's just such a good receiving back, 2, 3, 4, 5 catches per game here down the stretch. He ran hot on touchdowns to start the year. He cooled off at the back half, but 2 touchdowns, a couple of weeks with none. But he is a volume play. And I think I feel just really safe with ETN kind of locking down one of my running back spots for the year. So I feel good about that start, and we can evaluate our round 3 pick when it comes. If I want another running back, we could try it. And honestly, I think the more that I do these mock drafts, I keep finding wide receivers later in the draft that I really, really like. So it might be in our favor to just keep plucking running backs. Maybe it's 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds this year. It's for sure at least 1. But after I take ETN, you see Kieran Williams. Harris grabs the Drake London pick. Isaiah Pacheco, Michael Pittman Jr., Devon Achane. I really like him this year. I think he's going to be involved a lot more as a receiving back. And then Devontae Adams is pretty good value at the end of round 2. I just did my Raiders projection video, and Devontae is still a top 10 wide receiver. So pretty good value there. He also gets Mike Evans at the 2-3 turn. And then Rashad White, James Cook, Chris Olave off the board. Kelsey is still the one in KC. Don't get it confused. Oh, I 100% agree. I tweaked a couple numbers, and I had Kyle Pitts shoot up to my tight end 1, but for the longest time it was Travis Kelsey being the dude, and I just think he's as safe as they come. So tight end is again, you want a top 5 tight end option this year. Travis Kelsey's your dude. But we're up to pick here. You got Joe Mixon, DK Metcalf, Kamara, Diggs, Jacobs, Ayuk. I'm not really sure which one I want to go with here. I thought about running back, but I'm just gonna grab Devonta Smith, who I feel pretty excited about taking a leap this year. He was wide receiver 19 last year, played the whole year except week 18. But I think I'm getting excited about him moving into the slot this year in Kellen Moore's offense, and I think he's a lock for wide receiver 2 production. And if there's any chance where A.J. Brown misses some game, he's been so healthy the last few years, but before that, he had been kind of an injury concern. I feel really good about Devonta Smith. I also felt pretty good about Deebo Samuel there. I should have maybe taken a shot on a 49er skill player, but we grab Devonta Smith, who I think is a really strong wide receiver too. I don't care if their bye weeks are the same with Amon-Ra. But round 3 is really fun, man. I think DK Metcalf's a pretty good value this year. Like, he's just kind of locked into 1,100 yards and about 8 touchdowns per season. He had a career high in receptions last year too. I think Jalen Waddle's one of those guys that could have a career year coming. So those younger players, I think I look forward to taking a lot. I'm not really big into DJ Moore here, but as we get into round 4, I think DJ Moore will look a little better. I think I'm taking Waddle and DK Metcalf over DJ Moore for now. I don't know what you guys think on Josh Jacobs here. I know all the advanced metrics said he sucked last year. He was a volume play for the Raiders, though, and I don't know if he's going to get the volume in Green Bay, but I do think the offensive line and the overall health of the offense in Green Bay is going to be so much better for Jacobs, where you lock Jacobs in as your RB2. I think you're going to feel pretty good about that positional value there. Let's kind of look at the recap here and see what's coming up for my next pick. After I take Devonta, you got Debo, Kamara, which I'm coming around to Alvin Kamara. He jumped up in my rankings when I did an update over the weekend. He's up to RB12. So maybe he's not like your starting RB1, but when you get him as your RB2, I think you have to feel pretty good about it. Ayuk, Diggs, and Joe Mixon to end round 3. We have a first quarterback off the board here, Josh Allen, DK Metcalf, Josh Jacobs, and Calvin Ridley, Kenneth Walker. So I get DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp, Jalen Hurts to fall. I could, smash in Jalen Hurts right now with Devonta Smith. That could be a fun little move here. I get my option at a top 5 quarterback here. I think the value of Jalen Waddle was really nice, but man, I think just getting a part of that Philadelphia stack sounds kind of fun to me. And I don't really see a running back that I like taking here in the 4th round. That's kind of a no man's land. So we'll grab Jalen Hurts. We have our top 5 option at QB. We have a top 5 option at running back, and we have our top 5 option at receiver with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So we're sticking to the rules in this draft, and I think I know people kind of, think the Eagles really struggled last year. They did, but for fantasy football, it didn't really matter. Hurts was still putting up 34, 23. He did have a dud week 14, but 21, 23, and 19 in the fantasy playoffs last year. And I think Kellen Moore can help this offense get back on track. So, Kamara is a kind of a heat-seeking missile right now in best ball drafts. I think he's going to be approaching the end of the 5th round pretty soon in best balls. But it's a steep cost in a redraft league. But again, like I said, once you put him in as your RB2, I really care about positional value. I think he can, in a full PPR league, I think you're going to have fun with Kamara there as your RB2. Just Derek Carr can dump off a lot of passes to him. Um, After I take Jalen Hurts, you got Flowers, Cup, DJ Moore, Ramondre, Mark Andrews, and Tony grabs Jalen Waddle to finish round 4. Comes back with Trey McBride, so he gets his top 5 option at tight end, and then a run of quarterbacks here, Mahomes and Anthony Richardson. And I I really like the Malik Neighbors value in a redraft format, round 5 in a best ball draft. Like sometimes he goes end of round 2, and I think I read a report on Neighbors potentially being a 150 target player this year, which is exciting. I think I got him more in the 130s, but Lamar, T. Higgins off the board next. I'm on the clock here. I don't have my running back 2 yet. I'm interested in Dalton Kincaid a little bit. I don't really know if I want to pull Aaron Jones or any of these. This is a tough spot for me. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pull my tight end. I'm pulling Kyle Pitts here. I got my top 5 option at tight end. I think Dalton Kincaid is a tough pick this year. I don't think he's a top 5 tight end. He did have a nice run in the middle of the year when Dawson Knox was injured, but as soon as Knox came back, weeks 14 through 18, it was pretty rough going for Dalton Kincaid here. He did have 7, 8, and 8 targets in 3 of those 5 games, but I think the hype is maybe a year early on Dalton Kincaid. I think as long as Knox is healthy, he's going to be on the field a lot. They like him as a blocker, and they're going to want to run the ball more this year than we have seen in the past. So I'm kind of out on Kincaid. I don't know if you guys quite agree with me in the chat room there. I would rather have Kyle Pitts because I was up till about midnight last night just daydreaming about Kyle Pitts, and that's what made me update my numbers today. But we're talking about Kirk Cousins, who just feasted targets to Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson last year. I think Kyle Pitts could be the tight end 1 this year if things break right for him. Like, he is still athletically one of the most gifted tight ends in the league. I think just the last 3 years, people haven't really been able to trust him. And I think there's going to be some people that are rewarded for taking a little bit of a risky pick there in the 5th round. So I get my top 5 option at tight end. I think this is the year. If it doesn't happen this year, Aiden, I think I'm finally willing to let it go. But I think there's a little bit of upside hidden in Kyle Pitts this year. After I take Pitts, you see Zamir White, Tank Dell, Aaron Jones, CJ Stroud, and George Pickens end round 5. Round 6 has some interesting names here. You got 2 Jags, Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. We see DeAndre Swift go, who I'm coming around to DeAndre Swift. I think he can be a nice RB2 for you. I still really like the other running backs there, Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. That's some good competition behind Swift. And if this is Caleb Williams' offense, is he going to be wanting to run for touchdowns in the red zone? Is he going to be wanting to throw in the red zone? I don't know if I see Swift as a big touchdown upside play. I think he's a good receiving back, but I don't know if I see the touchdowns falling into Swift's column this year. And hey, there we go. Thank you, TB. George Kittle and Dalton Kincaid off the board there. I will be looking at running backs here. I think Jalen Warren's one of my favorite guys. I don't know if I can take him over Montgomery, James Conner. I think Jonathan Brooks is a little overvalued here. I see a lot of receivers that I like a lot still. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my James Conner. I know he's an aging veteran running back. I still think he's very talented. He was a league winner last year. I think we talked about James Conner last year or in the last weekend's draft, Tuesday night draft. But for sure, I'm starting James Conner until the wheels fall off. And just through my depth, I'm going to make sure I get some guys that could back up James Conner in case of emergency. Ruben grabs David Montgomery. That's another good pick there. I didn't take Montgomery because I had Amon-Ra St. Brown on the team. I think I like David Montgomery on my teams where I don't have any other Lions. And it's just like, yep, I'm going to take my 80 yards and a touchdown, if not every other week. Amari Cooper, pretty good value there for Harris. You're talking about an 1,100-yard receiver, 7, 8, 9, 10 touchdowns for Cooper, 80-some catches. Joe Burrow, I love Joe Burrow, man. I think the Bengals are a sleeper team this year, and I think Joe Burrow could be the MVP this year if things bounce his way. He's got a lot to showcase this year. Brian Robinson, not my favorite pick here this late or this early. Chris Godwin, I think, is a really good pick. I really like the receivers this late, so I'm kind of glad we did this. I have a flex spot open, and we can maybe pound some receivers here. And then Tony grabs Kyler Murray and Deontay Johnson. He's having a good draft down there. I think Kyler Murray qualifies as one of those quarterbacks with top 5 upside, just like Joe Burrow. And Deontay Johnson, man, he's going to have 140-plus targets this year. I think he's Bryce Young's man. Keenan Allen right there, too. a good value this slate. I think you're getting a lot of production there. Dak Prescott, good pick there by Ruben as well. I'm on the board here. I love me some Jaylen Warren. Holy crap. For me to get Jaylen Warren here and just kind of lock down my running backs, I have ETN, James Conner, and Jaylen Warren. And now I finally can start taking some of these sleeper wide receivers that I've missed on in the last few weeks of these mock drafts here. So 3 solid running backs, Travis Etienne, James Conner, Jaylen Warren. In my projections, I actually have Jaylen Warren as RB14. I got Conner at RB20, and I got Etienne at RB5. So I feel pretty good about that. We're going to have Etienne and Conner to start the year. And if I need to flex Jaylen Warren, I can totally do that. If I want to put Warren in over RB2 if Conner misses time, I can totally do that. And that's kind of how I like to do these drafts. I always like to have an out in case something happens. Russell grabs Jordan Love here. That's an exciting pick here. I think you're getting – it's tough to pick a Packers receiver this year just because they're going to spread the ball around, and it's hard to figure out who's going to be the guy every week. You can just simply take Jordan Love and enjoy all the benefits of that offense. Tajay Spears is a pretty good pick this late. I like Tajay and I like Tony Pollard. I think they're going to be on the field a lot together. And then why is Terry McLaurin going at pick 82? That's a hell of a pick there by Aiden. Terry McLaurin, I think he's got 4 straight years of 1,000 yards, and we've talked about his quarterbacks before. Not good. He's probably playing with the best quarterback of his career this season. So I think Terry McLaurin's a hell of value this late. Good pick here by Ethan. I think I'm starting to come around to Javonte Williams being a really strong RB2 pick. He's going to be the guy that gets the bulk of the carries in Denver. Sean Payton said that he lost a lot of weight. Sean Payton asked him what his playing weight was at UNC, and it sounds like Javonte Williams came back from minicamp OTAs, and he lost a lot of weight in the June summer months, and he looks like a player that could be on the verge of rising up draft boards. Jake Ferguson, DeAndre Hopkins, Raheem Mostert, and Aaron Rodgers, next players off the board. We're on deck here, and I feel like we hit the jackpot here. I love this board. I don't care what receiver, whether I get Jaden Reed or Rashee Rice. I think, we're drafting on July 29th here, and the reports that I read today sound like Rashee Rice probably won't get suspended this year. So I could easily plug in Rashee Rice here and have a really good time with him as my wide receiver 3. I think Jaden Reed's a baller too. I am a Packer fan, so I'm going to go Jaden Reed here, but we need to start moving Rashee Rice up the draft boards. I actually put him as the Chiefs wide receiver 1 for the year over Marquise Brown, over Xavier Worthy. But I'm comfortable taking Jaden Reed there a lot. I think he's going to be the guy that's moving the chains on third downs for the Packers. He's going to be getting carries here, here and there. He scored 8 touchdowns last year. I think he's in for a really consistent season as the Packers, lead wide receiver, shall we say. So I'm having fun with this team. I think this team's a lot better than it was last weekend. We got Ruben taking Zach Moss there. We need to probably pump the brakes on Zach Moss a little bit. I was very bullish on Moss, but it sounds like the first, 5 days of training camp here, it sounds like Chase Brown has been leading the team as their RB1 in pretty much every drill and phase. So Chase Brown's moving up my board. Zach Moss, Zach Moss was still around RB30 for me. I think he's a really good, first and second down runner, and he can also pass block a lot. So if Chase Brown can improve as a pass blocker, we still might see Zach Moss out there quite a bit. I think Terry McLaurin's not like an elite receiver. He's just really good at everything, inside, outside, deep, short. I think Terry McLaurin is set up for a really nice season, and he's always been kind of about it around wide receiver 25. He's just a guy that you can just trust every week to make a big play when you need him to. Harris grabs Rashee Rice there. We've got Ezekiel Elliott at 93. I'm slightly concerned about Jordan Addison getting suspended. So I'm baking in a 4 to 6 game suspension for Addison. He got pulled over last summer. He got pulled over again this summer. Just a couple knucklehead moves there. And I just have questions on the quarterback play. So I'm kind of out on Addison at ADP. He needs to fall a lot more. I don't want to babysit him for 4 to 6 weeks on my bench. But I get it. He's still a really good young ascending player. Tony Pollard's a value here. I also like Jerome Ford and Gus Edwards. These are some nice running back pulls this late. So you can wait for running back and get some really nice picks. This JSN pick's one of my favorites. We're gonna, keep an eye on Odunze, Eckler, and Ladd McConkey. Dang it, I missed on a lot of good wide receivers there. But we're on the clock right now. I could grab Xavier Worthy. I'm gonna grab my guy Chase Brown here. I was just kind of talking him up. I don't have a Bengal yet, but Chase Brown, he popped in a lot of receiving metrics last year as a running back, and right now, again, they're giving him the chances to be heavily involved in this offense. I think you're probably still looking at maybe not a 50-50 split. Maybe this is, and I was talking to Harris about this over the weekend, maybe the Bengals are kind of like a Najee Jalen Warren split, where Zach Moss is kind of your banger Najee Harris, and Chase Brown is more of like your Jalen Warren receiving back that offers a little bit more juice. So I like grabbing Chase Brown there on the bench, and I still need more receivers. So we're going to keep looking for that position. But overall, I think we've built a pretty sturdy base. We have four, I got 3 solid running backs and 1 potential sleeper. And then I like my top 3 receivers, Amon-Ra, Devontae, and Jaden Reed. So liking this team. I like this 9th round. I mean, you got a starting running back potentially in Gus Edwards, a starting running back in Devin Singletary. I think this is the year where JSN hops Tyler Lockett and he becomes a really nice slot player in that new look Seahawks offense. And then Rome Odunze, man, still one of the most talented players in the draft. I think he was pick number 9, and you want to bet on players that, especially that are picked in the top 10 at the receiver position. So it might take a while for him to get there, but I think letting him sit on your bench and maybe he's a guy that you end up starting down the stretch and into the fantasy playoffs makes sense. I do like the Austin Eckler pull here by Harris too. I love the Commanders' offense this year. I don't think it's going to translate to a lot of wins. So we could see a lot of 2-minute drill and come from behind stuff with Austin Eckler catching dump offs from Jaden Daniels. Daniels can throw to the running back position. And also I looked into Cliff Kingsbury. His offense is with Kyler Murray, averaged about 100 targets per season of the running back. So maybe Eckler gets up to 60, 70 targets. And then this is, if you're going to draft any sleeper rookie receiver, it's Ladd McConkey. I think he's the guy that's going to end up catching 70 balls for Justin Herbert. So I like this round a lot. You also got Caleb Williams, Keon Coleman, Blake Corum. It's a fun round to pull some rookies. We have a J.K. Dobbins sighting. Holy goodness. But hey, we're up to pick here. I'm going to grab, I think he's the guy that catches the most fantasy points in Buffalo. I think it's Curtis Samuel. I'm glad I waited on wide receivers here because I get Curtis as my wide receiver 4. And if I look at my projections, I mean, I got him up here at wide receiver 31, which he's right next to Jaden Reed, Zay Flowers, Michael Pittman, and Terry McLaurin. I think Curtis Samuel is one of the best sleeper picks at the position. It sounds like he's been making a lot of plays in training camp, and they're moving him all around the board. You got to remember, he played with Joe Brady in Carolina where he had his best career season. And I think Josh Allen's going to look for him a lot. And to get him on my bench here as my number 4 feels pretty good. We should probably talk about J.K. Dobbins for a hot minute here. I was doing best ball drafts today, and he is just screaming up draft boards right now. And the vibes that I'm getting there are like, he might be their running back 1. I still, I'm banking on Gus Edwards leading the team in carries. But if J.K. Dobbins ends up as the lead back on the Chargers, I don't think I would be surprised right now. It sounds like the Achilles is not affecting him at all. Like he's fully practicing, which is miraculous. And I don't usually like taking guys off serious injuries like that, but J.K. Dobbins is starting to pique my interest right now. And the Chargers social media team is really pumping him up, interviews and just getting him involved with the team and just putting his name and face out there. So I think Dobbins on the rise for me, a fun upside swing here at a guy that I don't know, man. Before his injuries, like he was looking like one of the best up and coming running backs in the league. But we're almost up to pick here. I have 4 bench spots left here. I'm not going to really worry about defense and kicker. Jaden Daniels is falling a little too far here. I know Harris and I were talking, and he thinks Jaden Daniels is a top 10 fantasy quarterback this year. So if you want to wait on quarterback, like Jaden Daniels is one of my favorite guys to wait for and grab. You can grab Jaden Daniels and pair him with, Brock Purdy or Tua or Trevor Lawrence or something and end up coming out pretty good. But we're up to pick here. I don't know what looks good. I think there's a lot of we're getting light on starting running backs. We're all looking at backup running backs now. I need to stop clicking on Kendre Miller. I've learned my lesson there. I'm gonna grab Xavier Legette. I'm gonna take a chance here on a Carolina Panthers receiver because Tony grabbed my Deontay Johnson when I was looking for him. But Legette, he's making some plays in training camp, and he looks like he's separating, and he's kind of a big play guy. If he's any good, like we'll know pretty quickly because I think they're gonna leave him out there in 3 wide receiver sets. And if I have to move on from him, I can move on. But I think taking shots on rookie receivers and rookie running backs this late, I think it's not a bad investment on the end of your bench. Because keep in mind, you're probably going to be moving around, the bottom 4 or 5 spots of your bench, whether it's waiver wire or whatnot. So I'll take a chance on Xavier Legette being a big playmaker for the Carolina Panthers. And there's a couple guys that I still like on this board quite a bit. For running backs, you could take some of these exciting rookies, whether it's Jalen Wright, Tyrone Tracy. I think that's probably the end of the rookie. Maybe Braylon Allen if you want to wait for a Brees handcuff. But the running backs are pretty thin. I'm happy with my top 4. I might grab one of these guys yet. Receivers, though, still look really good. Jacoby Myers is fine. I think he's going to be involved in that Raiders offense. But Demario Douglas is my favorite to lead the team in receptions and targets this year. I think Khalil Shakir is a fun upside pick here. He went pretty, like his numbers last year were pretty good. He was just very inconsistent, but he showed some really nice things. And if he gets more opportunities this year, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a thing. Adonai Mitchell for the Colts. I think Romeo Doubs, Brandon Cooks, Marvin Mims, these guys are all fun upside picks, as well as Wicks, Josh Downs, Jalen Polk. Like there's a lot to like here for wide receiver sleepers. So I'm going to probably pull. So I'm sorry, Harris, man. I got to do it. I got to pull Brandon Cooks. I don't have a Cowboy on this team, and I think Brandon Cooks is in for kind of a little renaissance season. He ended the year strong. Didn't start out the year hot, but from like week 8 on, he only had 4 duds. Otherwise, he had 7 games over double digits. I'm never going to feel good starting him every week, but if it comes down to it, I'm getting a piece of the Dak Prescott offense that's going to throw 600 times and be one of the pass happiest teams in the league. So I'll take a shot on Brandon Cooks this late. I feel pretty good about that. I have 2 bench spots left here. I don't need a backup tight end. I feel pretty good about my Kyle Pitts share. I think I'm going to round it out with maybe one more receiver and then maybe one more running back this late. I don't know. At this point, I think taking running backs here, like these guys are all, an injury or 2 away from being useful. So I don't mind maybe letting these guys sit on the waiver wire and letting things come to me. I feel good about my top 4. ETN, Connor, and Jalen Warren are going to be my guys. And then I do have Chase Brown as my upside play. So I think I might call it at running back here. I don't know if I want to babysit some of these guys. I do like Tyrone Tracy, though. He is a guy that excites me. Still a lot of receivers here that make a lot of sense. I think there's a chance for Dontavian Wicks to be a really good player, but we're going to need an injury, whether it's Romeo Doubs or I don't want to say Jaden Reed, but Christian Watson. Like we know Wicks is good. It's just a matter of can you be patient and wait for his opportunity. But we're on deck here. We see Demario Douglas go. I'm going to take there's a chance Jalen Polk is the wide receiver 1 for the New England Patriots this year. So I'll take a chance on him. It sounds like him and Javon Baker have been making a lot of plays in Patriots camp. And if we're being real, they're going to lose games. They're going to be throwing the ball probably more than they want. So I'll take a chance there on the exciting rookie wide receiver out of Washington. And then I just want to double check, man. I don't need to pull any of these quarterbacks here as my QB2. I feel good with Jalen Hurts. I do have a bye week 5 though. So I'm probably going to want to add one of those guys soon when the season starts if I'm going with Jalen Hurts. I don't think I need a backup tight end. I have Kyle Pitts. His bye's week 12. We'll see if he can be my one. Excuse me. So I can maybe pull a defense here if I want to, lock in a good one. I don't mind moving those guys up because if we're being honest, I'm probably going to end up cutting this last player on my bench anyways, week 1, to make a move for a player that we missed on. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to move up defense to round 14. And thank you, Nino. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're going to move up defense to round 14 here. The Steelers are a good call. I think the Chiefs are still my favorite call, though, just because they're going to be going up against Bo Nix twice. They're going to be going up against the Raiders twice. I think the Chargers will be pesky, but I don't think they're going to light up the scoreboard. So I'm still leaning on the Chiefs being the defense that I want on my fantasy team this year. And yeah, like the Steelers are good. The Saints are good. I don't have any issue with the Steelers at all, but I think the Colts are my bad. The Chiefs are my defense that I want in all drafts this year. What were they last year? They were number 6, man. You know, they didn't have a single negative game all year. They had a couple duds here against Green Bay and Las Vegas, but that happens every now and then. They're still a Super Bowl threat, and I want to bank on good teams. I want teams that win games. So we'll do that. And then maybe round 15, I will take my sleeper pick. We'll try and find a sleeper. And again, if we're being honest, the last pick on your bench, swing for the fences, because you're probably cutting this guy week 1 to make your first waiver wire move. So I don't care who it is. You can maybe even take a guy that's going to be on IR to start the year, and you can move him to your IR spot and go make a waiver wire pickup right away. But for me, the last spot on my bench, I really don't care about. And Aiden, man, grabs my Chiefs defense. What a guy. What a pal. Aiden grabs and steals my D. With that being said, Lions were 22 last year. The Dolphins have a good D, man. They did lose Christian Wilkins, though, which concerns me a little bit. Chargers defense was garbage. I think the Bengals are going to be a better unit this year. Bills, still a good defense. They get some fun games here. I'll just grab Buffalo. They're going to win games. So if you're looking to do public competitive leagues, it depends if you want money to be on the line there. You could search on Twitter, whether there's My Fantasy League offers some dynasty leagues. I don't know if they do redraft. I don't know if there's any competitive redraft leagues that you could do besides best ball leagues, Nino. So like if you want to do best ball, but that's no roster management, I'm struggling. I don't think there's a website that really does public competitive leagues. Let me talk to a couple people and see if we can get you in a league there. I think maybe Harris has a spot in a league. We'll kind of do some searching for you, Nina, and see if we can find a spot for you. I think my fellowship league's all filled up, my viewership league, but I'm going to put you on the list. We'll put you on the list for the fellowship league to get you in. You always take my guys, Aiden. But we're gonna finish up the draft here. I want to look real quick. So I think maybe I have a spot. I can maybe boot out Matt for you here. So I have a fellowship fun league that we run. It is competitive. I just want to look at the members real quick. I'm on the clock right now. Wide receiver. I think Josh Downs is sneaky. I think Joshua Palmer is sneaky. A lot of good players here. I'm going to grab Josh Downs, a receiver. But let's see here. Let me talk to my friend Matt Boehm. He's just a friend of mine, and I might be able to grab his spot from this league here. So Nino, if you want to email me, and I'm typing it in right now, go ahead and email me at thefellowkgb@gmail.com. Email me, and then I can send you an invite to get into the fellowship free league if you are, in fact, interested in joining. It's a super flex league. So we start, a QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, 2 flex, and a super flex. And we got about 7 bench spots, 2 IR. So, and hey, Harris says he might have some openings in some leagues too. So go ahead and email me, and I can get you in contact with Harris as well there, Nino. Everybody gets a league this year. And my last pick will be kicker. I really don't care about my kicker. I will ride a kicker for the first couple of weeks, and if it's good, it's good. Otherwise, we'll make some adjustments along the way. I traditionally like to get indoor kickers or kickers on high-scoring offenses. The buy-in for the fella, I just run a free league here, and I think I offer $50 to first place. So if you win, I just search you out and I try to get your contact information. All right. I am open to doing like a money fellowship league where we all put $20 on it or something like that. If that's something that interests you guys, I could start up another league. If you are interested in that, like you can email me and I can start a sign up sheet and get some names down for that. I'm going to take the Chargers kicker. I think they're going to be an offense that runs the ball a lot and probably settles for field goals. They're indoors. We'll try that. But the draft is complete. Let me know if you guys are interested. Do we want to start up? We can do it on Sleeper or ESPN. I don't care. We can try a fun $20 league. But I'll review my team here in a second. We'll let the draft close and we'll take a look at some of the other guys' teams in the draft here. I think I did okay in this one. We have some upside guys on the bench, and I feel pretty good about my starting unit. We did not go zero running back for the first time in probably about a month, and I think we ended up with a pretty solid team. So we'll let Tony make his walk-off pick. It doesn't have to be Superflex League, Harris. We could vote on it. I'm open to voting on a league format that's good for everybody. If you guys want defenses but not kickers, or if you guys want to do half PPR or full PPR tight end premium, like we can try something fun. And I think the most I'd want to go, if I'm just doing a casual online league here with a bunch of people that I don't know, I think $20 would be probably a fair amount here. We could figure out payouts for that. But I'm going to review my team here, and then we'll look at some of your guys's. I have Jalen Hurts as my QB1. I feel great about that. That he's my QB1 for this season. And I think people have a sour taste in their mouth from how the way their season ended, but like Jalen Hurts still produced fantasy points. So I'm fine taking Jalen Hurts, round 4, whenever I got him. Travis Etienne is my option for a top 5 running back. He was RB3 last year. I think the numbers will come down a little bit, but if he gets more consistent with his touchdowns, who knows? Maybe I strike in on a top 5 running back again. And then James Conner, man, I think every week that he's healthy, he's a top 10 running back. He's a good receiving back. I know they brought in Trey Benson, but I think as long as Conner's healthy, he's going to be the workhorse there. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. We got Nino saying, a Lions fan, he loves the pick. I think having pick 7 this year, it's like, yeah, you're going to give me Amon-Ra, St. Brown, fine. Like, he's as good as they come. There's a chance that he finishes as the wide receiver 1 this year if everything breaks right. So I love Amon-Ra. I got Devonta Smith, who I think is in for a little bit of a breakout year this year, moving into the slot. And guys, like I might be dumb, but I'm going to go down on the ship here for Kyle Pitts. I think he's a top 5 tight end this year. We just saw Kirk Cousins give TJ Hawkinson massive volume for the last 2 seasons. So I'm open to seeing what Kyle Pitts can do with Kirk Cousins. And then my flex, we have competition from Jalen Warren, Jaden Reed, Chase Brown, Curtis Samuel, and then we'll see if Leggett, Cooks, Polk, and Josh Downs can do anything. But I think I got enough juice to make a run with this team here. And let's take a peek here at Tony's team, who started with the 101, ends up with Kyler Murray. So he's got his top 5 option at QB. Got CMC. Obviously, don't need to tell you anything about CMC. Jerome Ford's a sneaky RB value late. I think he can be your RB2 to start week 1. And as long as Nick Chubb isn't on the field, like you're going to keep starting Jerome Ford, and we'll evaluate it when Chubb returns. You got Devontae Adams and Mike Evans, which I don't know if there's a top 5 receiver in there, but you're going to get a lot of top 5 receiver weeks out of these guys. They're both huge play guys, and you're going to have fun, I think, with those 2 as your top 2. Trey McBride, he could be the tight end 1 this year. So you covered all the bases of a top 5 option at each position. And then Jalen Waddle, rock solid flex wide receiver 3. On the bench, you got Deontay Johnson and Jahan Dotson, who I like as a sleeper wide receiver. I'm all in on Deontay, though, as your wide receiver 3 or 4. I think Kyle Pitts, man, if it doesn't happen this year, we're done. But the running back bullets here, Gus Edwards, Rico Dowdle, Ty Chandler, Chuba Hubbard, and Tyrone Tracy. I think not all these guys are going to hit. You're going to be getting probably 2 of these guys to hit. There's a chance Rico Dowdle's the best running back in Dallas. There's a chance Ty Chandler is starting by week 3. You know, Gus Edwards could be the guy that just pummels for 10 touchdowns this year. Chuba Hubbard could be your RB2 week one if Jonathan Brooks is inactive. And then I think there's a chance Tyrone Tracy could be involved as a receiving back. So I like this squad here. Your starters are great, and you got a lot of fun built-in upside on the bench there from Tony. Harris, who was in the 5 hole, he starts his draft with Brees. His QB1 is Lamar Jackson, so you got top five QB, top 5 running back, and then Najee Harris, who I know he's not a great running back, but he gets volume and he just gets what the coaches ask him to do. I think he's a solid RB2 this year based on ADP. I mean, there's a chance Drake London is a top 5 receiver. I think more so top 10, top 12. I think Nico Collins maybe a top 12 receiver this year as well. So that's a nice 1-2 punch. Harris waits for tight end. He grabs Pat Freiermuth, who maybe not a top 5 tight end, but a top 10 tight end sounds pretty good to me. Cooper Kupp should be consistent as your flex. And then on the bench is these first 3 names on the bench: Amari Cooper, Rashee Rice, and Austin Eckler. I think Harris killed those first 3 picks on the bench. And then we got some project upside picks here: Marshawn, Quinton, Noah Fant as a sleeper who I like a lot, and then Braylon Allen as the handcuff to Brees. So I think Harris is a team there that did pretty well. Let's see what Ruben ended up with. He was picking from the 6th spot. Dak Prescott, one of my favorite sleepers at the QB position. No issues with Dak there. I think he's a top 5 QB opportunity this year. Bijan, he's my RB1. I love everything about Bijan this year. And I think Kieran Williams, man, he qualifies as a top 5 upside at the position as long as he's continuing to stay healthy. Receivers are a little light here. Zay Flowers and T. Higgins. So we don't have a top 5 receiver option, but we do have 2 solid players that are going to be contributing on this team every week. And then we do get Sam Laporta. So top 5 tight end, check. Running back depth is sick with David Montgomery at RB3. Zach Moss, RB4. And then he hammers some really solid wide receiver upside plays here. Ladd, Sutton, Mike Williams, Demario Douglas. I think that's enough, depth there to figure out who's going to be your number 3, number 4. And then we have a backup QB, Kirk, and Chargers defense here on the bench. Let's see where we ended up with Aiden's team. So he goes for Caleb Williams. Okay, interesting. So late round QB option here for Aiden. He grabs Caleb Williams and Trevor Lawrence, which I think is going to be enough to get the job done. Running backs, Josh Jacobs. I don't think Jacobs offers top 5 upside at the position, but I think he's going to be steady. I think he's just going to be really, really consistent week to week. He's going to get touchdowns. He's going to be involved in the passing game. I think you're going to like what you get out of Jacobs. And then Aaron Jones, who we know that when he's healthy, he is one of the best running backs in the league. So we'll see how Aiden's depth came to protect Aaron Jones. But as long as Aaron Jones is healthy, you're starting him and you're hoping the Vikings give him a ton of work. Puka Nacua, top 5 upside there. Brandon Ayuk, maybe not top 5 upside, but he's a wide receiver 1 upside player. And then Aiden did grab Travis Kelce. You guys know me. I love Christian Kirk. I think he's an excellent wide receiver 3, flex for this team. Chiefs D, damn it, Aiden. And then this bench, man. McLaurin, unreal on the bench. Raheem Mostert, fantastic backup. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Xavier Worthy, the fun upside rookie pick here. Jerry Jeudy, sleeper in the slot for the Browns. You got Trevor Lawrence to back up Caleb Williams. And then we got an RB dart here on Jaleel McLaughlin. And a wild Jimmy Graham appears. Not sure what's going on there, but overall, I think everybody did pretty good. It was a competitive draft. And I think if you guys are interested, let me know. We'll start getting a sign-up sheet. If you guys are interested, you guys can email me at the Fellow KGB. Let's do a fellowship listener league. I'm willing to do a $20 buy-in if you guys want. I have PayPal, Venmo. We can figure out how to make this work. I would like to do 12 teams. That's my preferred number for people in the league. And, once we get the league set up, we can either do it on Sleeper, ESPN. Those are my 2 go-tos, but we'll kind of figure that out along the way. And just email me. If you guys are interested, just email me here and I'm going to start making the list, and we'll have a $20 a buy-in for this. And I'll have to schedule a draft night for this. But we'll kind of work that out and make sure everybody can attend, and we'll probably live stream the draft as well. So let me know if you're interested. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight, though. This was fun. I'm going to the Brewers-Braves game tomorrow night, so no mock draft or live stream tomorrow night. I'm trying to finish up my 32-team projection series, so we're going to get that done this week. And then with it being July 29th, I will be doing some big updates to the website with rankings projections and all that good stuff. So a lot of things coming August 1st. And yeah, man, just shoot me an email and enjoy the rest of your night, guys. We'll see you again. Nothing tomorrow night, but Wednesday night we're gonna do another ESPN mock draft. I'm gonna keep pumping these out. I want to keep mocking and hanging out with you guys. So thank you, appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace.